China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang has criticised the Americans over the shooting down of a Chinese air balloon last month. Speaking on the sidelines of the National People's Congress, he said the Americans knew it posed no threat, and yet it overacted and dramatised the incident, causing a diplomatic crisis which could have been averted. Washington's claimed the balloon was part of a sprawling Chinese intelligence collection programme. Well, let's go live to our China correspondent, Stephen McDonald, who is in Beijing. Pretty strong sets of comments that we're seeing, Stephen. Just tell us what's being said.
So this has been a high-profile, two-pronged attack on the US, not only involving the foreign minister, but the country's supreme leader, no less. So Xi Jinping said that the West, as led by the US, was encircling and constraining China, and that this represented a severe challenge for this country. We don't know much more about what he said in that speech because it was behind closed doors to business delegates at this political advisory body. But the foreign minister, Qin Gang, he had a press conference on the sidelines of the National People's Congress, and he said unless Washington hits the brakes soon, instead of ramping up tensions, that there was a real chance of conflict between China and the US. And he went through these various points of tension. So when it came to the balloon incident, he said this was the US's fault for inflating that when really it was just an accident. He said that the Biden administration, when it spoke about competition with China, really meant trying to suppress and control China. And on the question of Ukraine, he said China had put forward a peace plan for Ukraine, but these attempts at bringing about peace were being stamped out by this kind of invisible hand. It didn't mention the US, but that's who it seemed to be referring to, an invisible hand which wanted the conflict to continue in Ukraine. So that's, accusing the US directly of wanting the war to keep going for its own geopolitical needs. A very serious allegation indeed.
What is the context of these comments, and how alarming are these comments, to people not only in the region but around the world? Because we have seen escalating tensions, but to see direct, statements like this, we don't get that every day.
No, I mean, everyone who has been watching China-US relations has seen them going downhill in recent times. I mean, and it got really bad sort of at the time of this alleged spy balloon. Remember, that was supposed to be a time when the US Secretary of State visited Beijing to sort of try and repair relations, to build bridges again or something like that. That trip was called off because of that balloon incident. And then we've had all these other points of conflict. I mean, Taiwan is another one. For example, Qin Gang said today that the US should butt out of Taiwan. This is an internal matter for the government here, and that even though it wants peace, it reserves the right to take other measures to reunify that island with the Chinese mainland.
Stephen McDonald, thank you very much indeed.